Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Division video, and in today's video it's just going to be a really quick one, but I want to speak about the state of the game that happened on Thursday. Apologies that this is a little bit late. I've been in the States for the past 3 days. I literally just got back a couple of hours ago and I want to make sure you guys had a video. That's also why there was no vendor reset video today, but that'll be back next week. So for the time being, I want to focus on the state of the game because they spoke about the upcoming special report, which will be happening on Tuesday. They spoke about the PTS, when it's going to be going live, and also some of the main focus points again for 1.4. So some really interesting things that I want to make sure that you guys were aware of, that I can kind of recap and whatnot. And of course next week, once the special report drops, there'll be plenty more to talk about. So for the time being, if you guys do enjoy this, like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. But kicking things off at the top, first things first, the special report, which is of course normally those live streams where they actually show us lots of cool stuff, give us lots of information, get some of the developers in. That's going to be happening on September the 13th. That is this coming Tuesday at 7 PM Central European time. That's kind of the time that Massive work by. That's 6 PM if you're in the UK, 1 PM if you're on the East Coast, 10 AM if you are on the West Coast, and for anyone else in the world, I'm afraid you're just going to have to use time conversion sites. But that is the time, and during that report, they are going to be giving us plenty more details on 1.4. They want to go a lot more in depth, and hopefully, I would imagine they're probably going to show us some gameplay. That's what they typically do in special reports, and since the 1.4 patch was used with the Elite Task Force, then I think it's quite feasible that we might see some of this in action. But either way, plenty of information on that Tuesday stream, so I will of course straight afterwards have a complete breakdown for you guys, telling you everything you need to know, so if you do miss it, then you know where to find the information. Also on top of that, speaking of the PTS, the public test server, spoken about this quite a lot lately, super exciting. It's going to be going live on 2 separate dates. Basically, this coming Thursday, September the 15th, it's going to be going live for a small select group of people. The idea being they want to test their infrastructure, the whole, downloading the PTS, logging on, making sure your characters transfer, making sure it can kind of like support people and whatnot. So what they're going to be doing for that is giving access to a limited group of people, and that limited group is basically everyone that applied for the Elite Task Force and is of course a PC player. So if you applied but didn't get selected for the Elite Task Force, you are still going to be able to gain access to the PTS on Thursday the 15th, provided of course you're a PC player. And they also said that if it transpires they need some more people, they will of course open up an application form so people can, register interest and say, I want to play now. However, once that's done, provided it goes well and provided the infrastructure works and can support people, then it will go live publicly on September the 19th, and this will be available for everyone. You won't have to apply. Just simply by having a PC copy of the game, you'll be able to jump into the PTS. And as a quick reminder, if this is the first time you're hearing about the PTS or the public test server, yes, it is only available for PC right now. The reason for that is because it's extremely easy for them to deploy updates on PC. They can do it as frequently as they like, whereas on console, on Xbox One and PS4, it needs to go through an approval process, which is of course a blocker for things like this. So that's the reason they are investigating a way to kind of get it on console. But for the time being, September the 15th and September the 19th. 19th being the public day for anyone with a PC copy. So those are the dates and those are the times you guys need to know. So keep all of those in mind. Now the last thing I want to speak about in passing is just some of the focus points for 1.4. They have of course shared some of these before, but they want to kind of give us a little bit more clarity on kind of their decision making. So first and foremost, their big focus, their kind of priority is the NPCs and the scaling and the time to kill. Because of course ultimately they want the endgame experience to mirror the 1 to 30 leveling experience, just of course at a slightly higher tier. So their main focus is of course on scaling the NPCs appropriately, reducing the gap between well optimized and random gear. So as you guys know right now, if you have like a super optimized gear set and you just have some random pieces, there's a pretty big gap between there. And while there should always be the opportunity for kind of optimized gear to be better, obviously makes sense. If you're going to put the time in, you need it to be better. The gap needs to be appropriate to the point whereby people with random gear aren't just completely incapable of competing, because of course that fundamentally breaks the game. So they're going to work on reducing the gap between optimized and random gear. And the end result of all of this is that the time to kill on NPCs will be shorter, you will feel more powerful, and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience overall. On top of that, they also want to work on difficulty scaling, because currently there's a huge gap between hard and challenging and heroic. So they want there to be a lot more granularity between that, which of course will help solo players, because right now that massive gap is an issue for solo players. But in doing so, by improving that kind of gap, so to speak, then it will make it a slightly better experience for solo players. The next focus after that was loot, in that they want there to be more and better loot and less waiting. So of course, right now, take HVTs for example, they pretty much only ever drop Lone Star because it's weighted in a very specific way. So what they want to do is reduce the weighting so that every single activity in the game can yield every single item. There will still be some more weighting activities. So for example, HVTs will still be weighted slightly more towards Lone Star, but they won't only drop Lone Star. And for example, Falcon Lost will obviously still be weighted towards Striker, Sentry, Tactician, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't get other gear sets in there too. So the idea being that you can pick your favourite activity, you can farm it for absolutely anything, but you'll also know that if you do want something in particular, there will still be a slightly more applicable source, so to speak. They're also going to be putting a focus on economy and crafting, and the last thing they want to call out is that there isn't a specific focus on PvP as a whole. And what I mean by that is that they're not going to be focusing on things like PvP rules or the way you play or things like that, because the changes they're going to be implementing, things to, you know, the gap between optimized and non-optimized gear, the NPC scaling, the damage and, you know, like time to kill and whatnot, all of these things are going to be doing, and of course they're also going to be rebalancing gear sets, rebalancing weapons. Everything they do there will have an impact on the PvP experience. So what they're actually better off doing, and this is obviously a sensible choice, because if you try and balance too much at the same time and it doesn't work, then you don't really know where it comes from. So the idea is that if they fix all the underlying systems, then it should just have a positive effect overall on PvP. And of course, once they've done that and they see where it is, if there's still an issue, then of course they can target PvP specifically. But first and foremost, the idea is to fix all that stuff they listed, and then hopefully by extension improve the PvP experience. And that's pretty much it. At least that is it for the state of the game. There will be plenty more to talk about on Tuesday, so if there's anything you guys are still unsure about, just hang tight until then, because I'm sure we'll get much more clarity then. But for the time being, they want to kind of at least share a bit more information to try and give us a slightly better picture about what they're working on for 1.4. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy the video, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching. Take it easy, catch you next time. Peace out.